I need to look deep inside myself.
I am Avatar Kuruk. When I was young, I was always a go-with-the-flow kind of avatar. People seemed to work out their own problems, and there was peace and good times in the world. But then, I lost the woman I loved to Ko, the face stealer. It was my fault. If I had been more attentive and more active, I could have saved her. Aang, you must actively shape your own destiny and the destiny of the world.
Looking backwards, in book one, it's not like we feel the absence of it, but it did make me wonder, was there ever a conversation about like a Kuruk episode? Like, because there happens to also be a recent waterbender. I don't know if that was something, we hear little hints about him in other places, but I was just wondering if there was ever a conversation about that back then.
Not early on. I mean, the one little thing that we've been reminded about recently between book 2 and 3, they needed like extra content for the web. This is before, streaming or anything like that. Right. So Nickelodeon wanted to do something that they could put online. And so I wrote this, it's like Aang's escape from the spirit world. So it's like when he's unconscious, he has this like little trippy, experience through the spirit world where he meets or sees kind of like a little bit of the backstory of each of his past lives. And so that was the first time we actually like fleshed out Kuruk at all. But he sees them all. So that was like the first time of like starting to delve more into the backstories. And then obviously I think we just focused on Roku because that made sense with the Sozin backstory and they were in the Fire Nation and that whole part of it. So,
I don't think I ever saw that. Is that available somewhere for people to see?
I bet if you check out YouTube, I think it's probably somebody put it up there, but I will say it was not animated in the show style. It was more like Flash animation style. It looks of the time, let's say.
Yeah.
It's
kind of
a
story. It's kind of a motion comic, I think.
Yeah.
Can you walk us through a little bit of those laying the groundwork for the lion turtle, or is that too on the spot?
No, I mean, we thought about the lion turtle. If you see the test pilot that we did in 2003, the version of the opening of that one, like the water, earth, fire, air thing, the background of maybe the Airbender, I can't remember which one, was a giant lion turtle statue.
Yeah, he's there.
And so Mike and I, that was early. That was when it was just the two of us. And we were on a trip to Seoul, South Korea, to find animation studios to do the test pilot. And we went to this park and we saw this really cool like turtle statue. And it had this huge, like sort of monolith coming out of its back. And we're like, man, that'd be a cool creature. And, there's all these great lion statues around and, we were doing our hybrid thing. And so we had the idea of it. I think again, like Mike said, I don't remember everything that's in that Bible, like the old series Bible, but we might have had some mentions of that, or that Aang would learn some technique or something. It's possible. I would have to look back.
Well, we definitely, we planted his image in there, even in I think in the library episode.
Yeah, in the library
finds that image, and so like it was always there, and it was like, how do we seed it so it's not totally out of nowhere, but without like, I guess spoiling the, he had to learn it at the right time, and he wasn't ready yet until
We knew more or less what we were driving towards very early on. So, but like Mike said, I'm sure there were discussions of, different things, but at no point was Aang going to kill him, so I think we do. And that was like the whole debate. Everybody wanted him to, including his past lives.
Yeah.
And so it was just, him sticking to his code. And, like Aang's monk code, like in the Blue Spirit episode, like he gets a spear from one of the soldiers and he breaks the blade off before he runs and uses it, because he won't use a bladed weapon. Like he really lives by this code. And I'm often in meetings like, Aang is a monk. Like this is, he's not just a kid, he is a monk. He believes this stuff. He lives by these things. So
this is what happens when I'm at a con and people chide me for Korra being too violent, because they keep thinking of Aang and his monk code.
Different life. It's a past life. Different life.
It's a different life.
Regarding the firebending masters, can you tell us a little bit about their origin story and the real life design and inspiration?
I don't remember anything. I'm like, I feel it like John O'Brien wrote that episode, so I'm sure some of that was like stuff we came up with in the, that writing retreat, and ideas of like them finding a lost culture and how dragons were involved and how that could be part of Aang's like journey to, learning firebending and stuff like that. But like, look, this was 20 years ago, people. No, I don't remember everything.
You guys, obviously you have a different experience because you guys were creating the whole time, but just as an actor in it, and I'm watching it over again for the podcast, and I'm hearing myself say lines, and it feels like a dream of something that happened.
Sure.
And you're like, it's a good dream, but I'm like, I remember this, kind of remember this. Like, what?
I know.
It's just a weird feeling. It's in you, but it's like not.
Like probably 2 hours of your life. And you're like, why would you remember a random 2 hours of your life?
I think
it's this thing, is this whole story. It's like a weird dream in my mind.
Yeah.
Can you guys talk a little bit about the design of the Western Air Temple?
Well, I mean, I don't know if this was directly from that, but Brian took that trip to Iceland. In 2007, I went to Bhutan, this little Buddhist country, near India and China. And they have this place called Tiger's Nest, which is like a real life air temple. If you ever are able to go there, it's this really long hike, this steep mountain. It's the only way to get there. There's no like cars to bring you up. I mean, I guess you could ride a donkey, but we did not ride a donkey. And you get up there and it's like a air temple built on the side of a cliff. It's quite wild. And so that was cool. I mean, that just kind of generally informed Air Nation stuff. And then I think when we got to the Western Air Temple, we were just trying to, like what's a version of an air temple that's not going to look like the other ones. And I don't know, Brian, you might remember design wise how you guys came up with it, but
I don't remember whose idea it was. But yeah, I think it was just the idea that air nomads tried to build their temples in hard to reach places, and that they wouldn't really, because we've always said it was like 99.9% of their very small population, but were benders. So they had per capita way, just like way more benders than the other cultures, that they would be able to live in a place like this, where these buildings were upside down and were hanging off cliffs. But yeah, maybe I came up with it. Maybe one of the writers did. I have no idea. But it was fun to design. It was tough, but it was cool, and it made for an exciting location with the Combustion Man showdown. So it was fun.
Yeah. Bend your ear for ad-free episodes with Avatar Braving the Elements Premium.
Subscribe today on Apple Podcasts.